Good morning everybody and welcome to the True Potential Do More With Your Money podcast. My name is Daniel Harrison, Chief Executive at True Potential, and today's topic is going to be client-centric. We've received a load of questions from yourselves based on our last podcast when we've been asking for your thoughts and for what you'd like to find out more about next. So we're going to really concentrate on that today. And we've also got some new faces or voices, depending on how you're consuming today's feed. Starting with Rebecca Wright. Rebecca is our Head of Client Service and here at True Potential. And then Jamie Sexton, who is our Head of Centralised Advice. And then finally Chris Leyland, who is our Director of Investment Strategy. So welcome all three of you to the podcast. And I think really before we get into some of the questions and some of this week's topics, I'll start with you, Rebecca. And if you wouldn't mind just giving the audience a 30-second kind of, pitch about what you do here at TP.
Of course. So my role is to oversee various teams who look after our clients when they're coming to us with various different queries. So we support clients through many different routes, telephone support, we offer online support, video chatting with clients, and making sure that they're all happy, they can all log into their client sites and they all know exactly what's going on and have access to our financial advisors as and when they need it.
Great. Jamie?
Yes, Dan, I a few hats, as you know, look after anything that touches advice from the central head office is what I deal with. So that works from the more complicated bits of advice, such as final salary pension transfers, where I look after the team that support that, and also the head office advisors that deal with our clients over the phone and via video technology. And also spend a lot of time with education with our with head office, where we train people to be financial advisors, and support them through our academy program as well.
And the financial advisor side of things works quite neatly with, say, Rebecca.
Yes.
And as far as the setup we have at True Potential tends to be where you've got Rebecca's team of, I suppose we almost call them ambassadors, Rebecca, for want of a better term, where they're dealing with client queries day in, day out. But then where the more sophisticated queries need to come in is where you work with the wealth management hat on, then Jamie deal with either our centralised advisors or indeed with our wealth management partners.
Yeah, we find, Dan, that clients have certain different types of queries where they may just want some help logging in their website, they may want some help understanding the valuations of their pensions and investments, and they may want to understand a little bit about, actually, I've got some more money, I want to invest it, where's the best place for that to go? And it's key that we can offer all them services, which the team do.
And last but by no means least, Chris?
Thank you. Yeah, so basically I'm Director of Investment Strategy, but my job is to look after the True Potential portfolio proposition. As well as that, I also sit with advisors, but I also think what's quite interesting about today is I also sit with quite a few clients as well.
Great, and I think that's probably a neat way really to kick things off. And Chris, we'll start with you because it feels like every week I'm doing a podcast saying I'm hopefully not going to talk about coronavirus much, but here we are again.
Here we are, yeah.
What's happened this week, Chris?
Yeah, so basically with the coronavirus, what's happened is it felt like it was very contained within China. And what you've seen this week is cases start to appear around the world. What you've seen with stock markets is it's spook markets. So you've seen markets fall, I'd say global stock markets around about 6% this week. And again, investors are taking a step back, and I think in reality they've become quite complacent. So what they'd seen is, you'd seen markets reach new highs, you'd seen people think that the coronavirus was quite contained, and I think it spooked them a little bit that they're starting to see it appear in other countries.
And I think it's an interesting point there, Chris, and I think probably just to put some of this into context, about investment should be medium to long term.
Oh, absolutely,
It was only 2 weeks ago, I think, or maybe even last week, that we were talking on this podcast. I was talking about with Jeff. That the American markets had reached a record high.
It's crazy. If you think, if you look at where we are right now with the coronavirus, the US market's still only about 3% off. Yeah. From it's record high. So again, this week, when you read the headlines, it feels like markets have moved quite significantly, and arguably they have moved quite a bit. But bear in mind that actually, markets have done incredibly well.
That's going to say against a backdrop of something going well, and that's
absolutely.
And that's why I think it's important that probably all clients and everybody listening here take this longer term view.
Yeah.
Which I know can be really difficult. You switched the news on last night. It was interesting. Gemma, my wife, she tends not to really watch the news. She says I'm boring if I watch it. But I was watching it, and it was just all about floods and coronavirus. Just kind of bad news. If you just kind of, maybe if you're a Martian or somebody from Berkeley like Jamie, who just kind of popped in and looked at it, you think the world's gone to hell, really. When in reality it hasn't. I suppose bad news makes better headlines.
That's the thing.
Yeah. And Rebecca, is that translating across to clients? Are you're kind of at the sharp end, really, dealing with clients? Are anybody ringing in asking about markets this week?
I think so. We've definitely had phone calls from clients querying how is coronavirus going to affect my investment? Should I be concerned? What should I be doing? And what we're finding really is clients are looking for assurances from us. They just want our view on what's going on. We can get them logged into their sites. We can show them where it is that their money's invested. We can show them how diversified the portfolio series is. One lady yesterday actually wrote to us and said that we'd far exceeded expectations in terms of what she'd expected from performance. But she just wanted to know, what does this mean? Should I be making any changes? Do I need to maybe be a little bit more cautious with my investment? And that's a general feel throughout when clients are calling up.
And are you getting the same, Jamie, with your advice hat on when we're speaking with our wealth management partners out there or our team in-house?
Yes, Dan, I think we have clients ringing in and asking, should I move down the sort of risk scale on the portfolio? And sort of our view on it is really, stay put. You were doing a risk assessment with your advisor when you first did the investment, and these things will happen but tend to smooth out over time, especially with pensions specifically, which are a long-term investment. We'd expect them to stay put and just stay inside their risk profile. What I would say is with clients is it's really key that they don't panic, and when we're looking at these types of investments, we've analysed their risk. We understand that they've still got that capacity for loss, especially with the pension investments we talked to.
Which I think goes back to my earlier point about investments should be seen as a medium long term affair as well. And I think Jamie, I think it was you or maybe Rebecca, apologies, mentioned the diversification word, which I think Chris, when you've been working and helping model the true potential portfolios out, I think diversification's a key kind of cornerstone for that. What can that, is a wider sense, why is diversification handy?
I think if we look at maybe what's happened this year, I think it's probably the best way to think about diversification. So if you look at how different asset classes have moved, so what do we know? Well, we know that equity markets have fallen, and we know why that is, and we've discussed that. But equity markets are just one part of the true potential portfolio proposition. We've got other assets in there that have actually made money this year. Gold's up 9%. Things like US government bonds, US treasuries are up nearly 5%. UK gilts are up 3%. But I think, moving back to what you were saying before, Dan, one of the problems is that the media just concentrates on the negative, in the sense, world is going to end, that headline, world isn't going to end, that headline sells newspapers, world is fine, doesn't sell newspapers. So what you're seeing, I think, is clients watching the news, clients reading the newspaper, but actually when you take a step back, they're not just invested in equity markets.
Chris, with the gold situation, I had a client yesterday on the phone I was talking to, and he says, has there been a rush to gold now with what's happening in the equity market? I'm aware we have an element of gold in the portfolios. Is that something that we're seeing? I think you've seen again, obviously gold price go up 9% this year. Within the portfolios we've got gold, but we've also got silver and platinum as well. So different ways to play precious metals, but the key is that they offer something outside of equity return. The goal of diversification is if one asset goes down, then there are other assets that can potentially go up, and that's exactly what you've seen this year.
Good. And I think talking about this year as well, one of the initiatives I know, Rebecca, you've been working on is getting our clients to think about regularly saving and this the kind of concept of compound and why it's a good thing. How are you dealing with that? Is that via direct debits on the sites, or are you speaking to clients and pushing the message?
So we speak to clients a lot about the best ways to top up their investments, and they can do that either through direct debit. We get clients who choose to impulse save over using direct debit. So we did a large campaign at the start of the year with the 52-week impulse save challenge, which was quite popular. So clients are choosing to save in different ways. I think the key is giving them the option of these different ways that they can save, and helping them to facilitate that as well.
Well, I think it's that little and often message, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I've got a question there. So, should we always just look to kind of put a lump sum in towards the end of tax year end, or is saving little and often better? And saying that this isn't advice from me, because I'm not qualified as an advisor, but certainly when you look at, say, the effect of compound interest, and it is much better to save little and often. And direct debit is because it sets that habit. You don't need to then think about it, do you? Just, it's something you can afford, it comes out of your bank, it chips away at either your ISA or your pension. It also chips away for things like holidays, Jamie. I think I know that's, you tend to use a couple of accounts for different holidays, and you've just been away to Dublin, then Amsterdam, and then back in Newcastle. What was it like in kind of, let's talk about coronavirus ever so slightly again in terms of recent travels. Would you have known about it?
It was interesting, Dan. You're seeing more, specifically in the airports, not so much in the sort of cities. Amsterdam's a beautiful city. People wearing the masks a little bit more and a bit more conscious of it in certain stations around the airports, which is what they're worried about. It's not hugely big in the Netherlands at this minute in time, so I'd imagine, Rebecca's just been to Paris, haven't you? So somewhere. And
interestingly, going to Paris, we went direct from Newcastle, so much smaller airport. I didn't see a single mask the full time that I was there. Whereas went to Madrid earlier in the year via Heathrow, and there was lots of people there with the face masks on. Even throughout the entire flight, people were very conscious. We had one gentleman who had a bad cough throughout the flight, and you could see everybody trying to edge away from him. So people, I think, certainly were very nervous at that point about it through Heathrow Airport.
And Chris, you've been to Paris as well. Not with Rebecca, but before we get any gossip.
I actually had a completely different experience, which was I flew from Newcastle, but when we were coming back through Paris Airport, so Charles de Gaulle Airport, you had a thermometer placed on your head. You had a swab placed on your head as well. So they were obviously pretty, well, maybe it was just me, but they were obviously pretty serious about actually checking to see what was happening.
That can be a problem if you've had a good couple of days in Paris.
Well, obviously,
I think you're sweating everything bad out of you at that stage.
They just send you straight back.
Turn around, sir. I was in London earlier this week, and Heathrow, it's a strange one, where like a gross, kind of sweeping stereotype. It tends to be more Asian people wearing the masks still as well. And I don't know if that's more because there's more conscious of it, versus say a European or like a white person maybe is either complacent or just not as aware or whatever. So it's interesting just when you do travel and where you see this mix of cultures going on there. And I think, travel and culture and worldwide side of things, again, Chris, in terms of diversification, are our managers seeing opportunities maybe into Asia and things where the coronavirus tends to have been at? Or is it a case of the wait and see right now?
Yeah, I think, what I wouldn't say is the managers are seeing sort of going wholesale into Asia. But if we think of the kind of trading that they've done over the last month, we've seen one of our managers actually add to China. So basically take advantage of the big falls that they'd seen. Another manager add to South Africa, which may sound a little bit weird me talking about that, but South Africa is classed as an emerging market. Therefore, with China and Asia falling, it's actually brought down as well. So again, that's a way to sort of buy a very favourable entry point. Seen another manager add to US energy. So obviously you've seen the oil price come down, with China, the big consumer of commodities, not actually consuming as much as they would normally do. So you've seen a few managers, I'd say, at the margin take advantage of it. What I would say is we've got other managers that have actually moved a little bit more defensively.
Right.
So they've added a little bit more to the US. You've seen quite a few managers, again, add to diversification. So look maybe a little bit outside of equity markets, look towards alternative assets, look towards basically areas that kind of help bolster the funds that make up the portfolios. So I'd say not a huge amount of trading, but the trading that's been done has actually been really interesting and obviously been really thought about as well.
Do they look for opportunities, Chris, in terms of, I remember back in the natural disaster with the tsunami, there was some of the, not specifically our managers, but we're looking to buy sort of electric generators, companies that generated them, which created, because obviously at that time it was quite large. So will they be looking for opportunities as well? I
mean, I was talking to one of our managers and they were talking about the opportunity in luxury goods.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, who is one of the biggest consumer of luxury goods? Well, it's Asian tourists. Okay. If you go to like London or if you go to Paris, they're the very big consumer of the very expensive things like Louis Vuitton, stuff like that. And obviously with them being unable to travel, with the actual shops being shut in China, it means that what you're seeing there is obviously prices have come down. Then you've got to say to yourself, well, is this going to be the end of Chinese tourists buying luxury goods? It's not at all.
No.
And that's the key. So what you're actually seeing in markets is, even though maybe it feels uncomfortable, you're starting to see buying opportunities come in for assets that maybe were quite highly priced before.
The luxury goods one's interesting. I remember when I was in Shanghai, I think I mentioned in the first podcast we did here, you got this huge mall which was directly opposite my hotel called the Luxury Brands Mall, so I don't know what that sells. But you just walked in and just staggered, to be fair. It was kind of like New Bond Street on steroids. Every type of luxury, like high luxury, your Cartiers, your Van Cleef type of thing. And it was busy. And there was people, it wasn't just people walking around the mall, these people were actually in the shops and walking around. So I think it is interesting when you talk about the largest consumers, or some of the largest consumers of luxury goods. Yeah. I've got a friend of a friend who goes to, our daughter goes to the same school as my daughter. So speaking of, she's Chinese, but she's lived over here for a few years now, and she was just talking about the difference. We're talking about baby care. Actually, she's got a baby, and she was just saying all of our family thinks she's strange because she looks after our baby herself. Versus the Chinese,
have like a nanny or something.
Yeah, the Chinese model tends to be you pay for up to a month in hospital in terms of private care, and then you get yourself a nanny, and that nanny can then stay with your family for a number of years. So everyone thinks she's mad that she's almost bringing her own child. And she said to me, it was quite interesting. She said the problem is in China now is that people don't know what to spend the money on. They've got so much money. The luxury goods. I remember this when I was in Shanghai a couple of years ago as well. Just in terms of they were, I don't know if they still are, the highest users of short-term credit for £1,000 to £2,000. And it's interesting the way that they lend the money as well, because it's this WePay platform, which sometimes people think WePay is like a type of WhatsApp. It's WhatsApp, it's Facebook, it's PayPal, it's everything kind of all in one app. And because all of that app is in there, and because of this kind of agreement which the users have with the Chinese government and other firms, which is look at everything, so you basically, you buy something like WePay, you tick in a box which says everybody can look at what you're up to. And with your spending habits, with your social media habits, with what your WhatsApp type of messages can do, that scores you as a good or bad credit risk as well. So you can get instant kind of loans, which is a whole discussion in its own right about how to use big data and what have you. But interestingly, so you can go on WePay, provided you're a good egg, so to speak, you can lend £1,000, £2,000 like that, touch of a button, on this kind of paperwork which we have to go through here. And the reason for that was to buy either handbags or a new iPhone. And so they talk about every 6 months, when you see Apple bring out, say, the iPhone, and the iPhone X comes 6 months later. It's quite often in China, it just churns. every
Yeah.
6 months
Yeah, yeah.
because they have to have the latest bit of kit. So it's interesting there when we look at this kind of huge amount of people buying luxury goods and the impact that probably has worldwide, because it isn't just in your Parises or your Londons.
Oh,
it's,
no,
it's,
of course.
it's localized as well. We've got a question really from while we stay on China, which was kind of the data we're seeing from China in terms of, you know, how many people could be affected by the virus, what it means economically and stuff. And, you know, I think there's always a kind of cynical, or maybe not cynical view, which is this believable data coming from the Chinese government?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I mean, look, I think if we use SARS as the example,
Yes.
okay, so SARS, it was a type of coronavirus. It was 17 years ago, it was in 2003. It took 3 months for the Chinese government to actually admit its existence. Okay, now what have you seen this time with the coronavirus? It took them 8 hours to basically put Hubei province into lockdown. They've just got a completely different attitude to what they had 17 years ago. The problem with China is it's a closed economy. So what that means is that they can massage the data that comes out of it. So when you look at things like China GDP, it basically just stays at 6% a year and it doesn't really change. But you can look at lots of other different things, and some of these things might seem a little bit odd, but the investment analysts look at things like the number of cinema tickets sold to get an idea of consumer spending, because that's something that they can see from the Chinese cinema companies. Look at things like toll roads, how much is being spent in the toll roads, so how much traffic is there delivering goods from one place. They look at things like shipping data. So again, you know, you're trying to find things that give you an idea of the impact of what's happening with the coronavirus, but things that you know will be correct. But I think overall, I think the Chinese are much better with the data. And I think, you know, you've got something like this, you've got to be really careful that you can't hide it. You know, things like the World Health Authority, they just won't allow it.
No.
You know, you can't have a kind of epidemic that spreads out from China.
Well, you almost see that with another secretive country, which was Iran, where it seemed like Iran were going to keep it under wraps, but no. Especially when you see a member of their government mopping his brow, was he? And then the day later, it's confirmed he has it. It's an interesting point, actually, Chris. It just jogged my memory when you were saying, you know, SARS, but 17 years ago. Yeah. Type of coronavirus as well. And you saw this thing flashing around on Facebook. You probably shared it, Jimmy, because I know you get worried. Which was kind of Dettol on the back, saying, you know, and also cures the coronavirus. And people say, oh, it's a global conspiracy. Well, actually, it's not. Coronavirus isn't a new thing, but it's just interesting the way that, you know, there's always someone with the tin hat on saying, watch out, you know. So there was a woman in, I think the picture was in Vietnam airport, and it showed what she'd done to kind of protect herself from the coronavirus, but she obviously didn't have that much money. So what she'd done is she'd taken a kind of large bottle of mineral water, sort of cut out the mouth bit, she put it over the top of her head and then put the mask over the mouth bit to try and stop any germs getting in. That would be quite useful for you, Jim.
I don't think get a bottle big enough, unfortunately.
But I did think that when you were talking about wearing many hats before, Jamie. I don't think we've got a hat big enough, mate.
True.
Talking about the hats side of things as well, Jamie, I think when you've been talking about some of the education piece, you know, with one of your other, and some of the education which we deliver to the clients, I think we call it is it the academy? Yeah. What type of things are we trying to? What type of good habits are we trying to instill in our clients?
Well, the key, Dan, is we have the client website, which for us is we're trying to be transparent with the client and provide all the information that we get to them. But also there's some great things like the videos that Chris and his team produce.
Is that the morning market?
Yeah, morning market videos, and they're all available within the site. But also, obviously, it tells you how much you're worth. So we're keen on clients logging in and viewing how much they're worth. And the point in the Academy programs is it's a very sort of straightforward YouTube videos, probably underneath these ones, I'd imagine, on the YouTube site. 6 sets of videos, and it just goes through little bits 3-4 minutes and just showing you, you know, what you've actually got available from your account. And it becomes very useful because first of all, clients kind of just log on to view what their valuations are, but actually we store all their documentation in there. As I mentioned before, Chris's videos. You can message the team via the secure messaging, and actually probably the most popular route, I would say, now
definitely.
for our communication piece
Is secure messaging.
is secure messaging.
So secure messaging is where a client goes into the app or the website, so it's in that encrypted environment, and they send a two-way message
yeah, I
to
think
the head office
you
or
know,
the advisor.
Exactly. I think for us, you know, email is an option, but if we can, you know, do it via the site, we're talking about secure information.
Well, certainly when we're talking about clients' personal details
Yeah,
and things, you shouldn't be dealing with that on email at all.
Exactly. And I think one of the most, as well, Dan, that, you know, it's key that if clients' circumstances change or, you know, anything's sort of different in their life that's happened during the year before we do that review, we do want to know about that because we do want to support and help our clients. So all that data that we hold in terms of their personal information, you know, when we give that initial advice, is in that site as well. So keeping that up to date is really helpful for us. And I know that because I have my own site. I look at it every day and update it.
I know all four of us do. All four of us are true potential clients in our own right. So it's so when we talk about a TP is skin in the game. So it's no good Chris selling true potential portfolios if he's not invested in them, if he doesn't believe in them. It's no good Rebecca telling her team to get our clients engaged with the apps if you're not using it yourself. And Rebecca, one of your newer initiatives, which I really like, is the way in which you've started training clients in terms of video sharing.
Yeah, so with every new client as they come in, we will do a tutorial, one-to-one tutorial, where we'll take them right through the technology. We'll tailor those presentations to the clients, so depending on what type of technology they have, what their smartphones, if they're using desktop sites, and we'll show them exactly how they can access all the different features within the site and how they can communicate with the team. We often do that as a video chat so that the client on the other end can see the person that they're speaking to.
Right, so they see one of our team.
Yeah, exactly. So they'll see the person here in head office that's dealing with their account. Clients really like that. It's nice to be able to put a face to the voice at the other end of the phone. Often clients will choose to turn on their own cameras if they've got them, and we'll just have a video conversation, which is always nice. And it's really just a new way to engage with clients, and we find it's very unique. Most of our competitors don't have those sorts of services. Clients often comment on the fact that they've never been offered this service elsewhere before, and they do really like that they have that. It's more comforting, I feel, if you can see the person that you're speaking to, and it's particularly if you're calling up with a concern when you're hearing news about the markets and those sorts of things, if you can see the person at the other end.
You want to know we're actually here. And I haven't had the pleasure of having a video call. You haven't offered one, but you know, I certainly do when I walk around the office and I can see the guys chatting away and smiling, and I think it really helps. I think telephone calls are okay in my opinion, but you can never quite see the person, like the same way we're having a bit of a conversation now. It's nice to be able to see the face, and it's interesting that some clients do switch their video on as well, I think, because it's not mandatory for our clients, but it's interesting that they obviously press the button as well, so they feel like they're probably part of it and engaged there.
I think it feels more real, doesn't it, in terms of your meetings with your clients, just that video exchange.
Yeah, and that's something which I know happens with, say, some of our directly authorised firms and a lot of our wealth management partners now as well, is that they've been replicating really what Rebecca's talking about, and starting to hold bits of reviews or at least update meetings with clients via Skype or on video as well, because it's often these type of either review meetings or more general discussions don't necessarily need the full 1 or 2 or 3 hours formal sit down with the client. It's more of a case of, have you been logging into your site? Yes, you know, or have you been logging into your app? Yes. Are you happy with the performance? Do you have any questions? You know, yes or no. And that's then where the advisor starts to use their specialism there. So it's not a case of where we used to be in the industry. This is my 21st year in the industry now, for instance, and I remember the packs advisors used to get, which were reams of paper.
I remember
and
that,
it was all about, you know, a pie chart here and all these and some commentary.
Yeah.
And we've moved away from that now with technology. I think, you know, we've got, well, you, Rebecca, and you, Jamie, track. You know, we've got one client. I think he logs in too much. I think it's like three times a day or something, isn't it? But I mean, typically, are we looking at clients logging in every 1-2 weeks?
Yeah,
Something like
I
that?
think so. We look to encourage clients to log in at least once or two a week. As you said, there are certain clients that potentially watching the video logging in 2-3 times a day. I think because the mobile, it's we've seen everyone like this on the phone, aren't they? I'm a prime example of that. But actually, it's just when you're a little bit bored, you might just log in and do it, and it's good. I think it's good to be engaged. I think it's good for us to be transparent. I think the days of receiving a 12 monthly statement with your valuation really should be over.
Well, as the last 2 months has proven in the markets where we've had highs and we've had some concerns with coronavirus, it shows why, say, something like a 12-month review is redundant, I think, because we don't really work in a 12-month life in terms of investment, but also True Potential tries to be quite agile and diverse. And I think if you look at, say, what we were probably talking about 12 months ago, we've probably changed that and changed it for the better, hopefully, as well. So I think it is great that our clients are more engaged and interested, because frankly it's their money. That's one of the reasons why I like goals as well, because I think a goal gives a client a real reason to anchor their investment, which is it helps ratify why am I saving up. Long gone are the days where it needs to be vague, which is I'd like to have a nice retirement. To say, what does a nice retirement look like? Because a nice retirement for Rebecca might be completely different to a nice retirement for you, Chris. And that's what I like about goals. It'd be personal to yourself. And then on something like the app, for instance, you can track your performance against that, which then probably links back kind of full circle, I think, Rebecca, when I was talking about the direct debits and the impulse save. Because I think impulse save is a kind of one-off payment mechanism, which allows the client to look to chip away at the goals if need be. Is that something which you talk about, say, when you're doing the onboarding video calls? Do you talk about the impulse save mechanism?
We do, yeah. So what's great with the technology is not only does it let you set a goal, it also allows you to track and make sure that you're online to achieve that goal, or it'll tell you if you do start to fall a little bit behind. So that's when impulse save can become particularly useful if you are perhaps dropping behind that goal line to make a smaller top-up payment to get you back on track. So that is the sort of thing that we'd be speaking with clients about throughout those demonstrations.
And you mentioned the Impulse Save Challenge, Rebecca. Jamie, are you doing that this year?
I am. I think I'm on £45 now at the minute, so I did it the opposite way around.
You've done the posh way.
Yeah. So I thought, if it gets near Christmas, I'll probably not have as much money.
Yeah.
So put £52 in, then 51, and then all the way down, I'm 46 now.
So the Impulse Save Challenge, for those who aren't aware, is this concept of just popping Impulse Saving once a week, either week one is £1, week two, £2,
exactly.
week three, £3, all the way to £52, and that's what. But as you say, life gets expensive in December with alcohol, presents, alcohol. Alcohol, what's presents? But yeah, it can do, and certainly when I've done Impulse Save Challenge in the past, I've always started at 52 and worked the way down. And it actually unlocks two benefits to me. I think the first benefit is it gives you another reason to log in, so you're not just checking your performance, you're logging in, and also just popping a little bit amount of money away. The second thing is you get this, going back to compounding, you get a great return at the end of the year, or certainly I did the years when I did it. I think I probably made a couple of £100 more than I'd actually put in, which isn't bad for just chipping away at something. So we'll review you maybe in December, Jamie, as well, and see if you're a happy Impulse Save Challenge client.
I think it's just that regular putting the money away, which I wouldn't normally do, Dan. So at the end of the year, if I've got an extra £1,000, in that savings, it's something I wouldn't have done. And at the minute, you don't tend to notice it because it's that regular element. It's just another payment I'm aware of, like my mortgage coming out and other things. So it's working quite well for us as well. It's good.
Do you know when we talk about impulse saves, do we ever say to clients, instead of maybe like going out one night or buying that coffee or something like that, to put the money into impulse save and to save it?
We do, and that's a particular conversation with our workplace pension clients as well, in that they've been automatically enrolled into a pension scheme. It's a percentage of your salary, which is now being taken off your wages. And for a lot of people, that can be a shock. It's almost a negative that there's a deduction coming off. So having that conversation that it maybe is one less meal out throughout the month, or perhaps you buy one less new item throughout the month or something like that. But actually, if you look at what that can do for your retirement planning, it can make a huge difference in the long run. And that's again where the goal features come in, and those projection tools to show clients so they can not only hear it from us but visualise it as well.
Yeah, because that nice visualisation, Rebecca, absolutely. And you used to spend a lot on coffee, Jamie, but then you get it free with your health insurance.
I still.
So I hope you put that money you've saved into your account.
Part of that impulse saved. I still get the coffees, I think.
Just before we wrap up, I think looking forward really for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks. What are you going to be doing here at True Potential? I know it'll be a mystery, but what do you do? But like, what's your thoughts over the next few weeks? Not just about coronavirus and things, but general engagement.
Yeah, sure. So I think if we think about what's going to happen over the next month within markets, we know the coronavirus and news around that will have an effect. But I guess if we leave that to one side, what else is out there? And I think it can be quite easy to get bogged down by one single event. But if we think about this year, you've got an election year. Election years tend to be very good for equity market return. You've got really supportive central banks out there. You've seen that come through this year. Again, that tends to be very supportive for market returns. But for me, what I'm concentrating on in the near term really is around diversification. So again, looking at the portfolios, looking at the managers that we work with, actually looking to work with other managers as well. Okay. That's one of the key things that I'm looking at, to say, okay, we've got the portfolios now, what can we do to further diversify them? What other areas can we look at to evolve the overall proposition?
Brilliant. And Rebecca, for you and the team, is it more of the same, or are you looking to try anything different?
Yeah, I think in the immediate future, in the lead up to tax year end at the moment, it tends to be a time that clients engage a bit more with their investments than other times of year, so we're expecting to get quite busy over that period. And then a lot more really of engaging clients with the technology and making sure that we are speaking to people regularly throughout the course of the year.
And Jamie?
Yeah, I think obviously that tax year end word for us is very busy and is approaching, so we're encouraging clients to ensure that they take advantage of that ISA allowance that they've maybe not completed. And also actually talking about the next year's ISA allowance, we were talking about direct debits before. Why not start saving straight away?
Good idea.
Because it works out easier for you. But also obviously you've got the sort of pension annual allowance that you can add in as well. So we're speaking to a lot of clients about that. So it's key that we get them in before tax year end. I think for Rebecca and I, we're looking at the websites and other features that we can potentially add to that site to enhance that client experience. We receive a lot of calls about certain things that clients want to do with their investments, and how can we make that a little bit easier via the site. We're always sort of engaging with the team and technology team. So
what type of queries are there, Jamie? Is it?
Well, it's little things such as when clients want to take money out of their pensions. At the minute, we've got phone calls, or you go through a financial advisor. It's how we can maybe make that via the website and other products. Other things as well, Dan, is things such as if I want to move funds, and I want to make that my own decision, can we make that an option via the site? And some queries that are coming up quite a bit. So I think it's key. Rebecca and I meet at least once a week and go through what our clients' queries and what are they bringing through, and actually can we just make that experience just that little bit easier? Because that actually helps helps clients significantly, but also helps our experience with clients.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, I think everybody, thank you very much for your time. In summary, what I'd like to take away is this idea of hold tight in terms of the market.
Absolutely.
But do seek advice and help where you need it. If you belong to our central advice team, do pick up the phone or do message Rebecca and the team that are here. If you are with one of our financial advisors, do speak to them as well. We keep everybody up to date with the information. I mean, Jamie, you mentioned the concept of transparency before, and that's certainly why we do what we do at True Potential. It's why we give people daily access to their valuations. It's why, say, Chris and the team produce the Morning Markets every day. It's why we do these podcasts as well. It's to really keep the drawbridge open, so to speak, and be as transparent as possible because I think that helps provide reassurance in what, when you watch the news, as per last night, can be what seems like all doom and gloom. And I don't think it is. I think it's really not. So I think that's a summary from me. So Rebecca, thank you. Jamie, thank you.
Thank you.
And Chris,
Thank you.
thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you. A lot of thank yous today. But really do enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll be back with you next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye.